Okay.
There. I'm gonna go in the back.
Come over here.
Can you get? She cannot get the boat.
Move over.
That's why. Okay, this is nice.
This way.
Ready?
This way.
You're good.
Okay. Thanks.
Oh. Yeah.
I chose her sunglasses for her.
Take pictures of me.
I'm
and
going
her.
to wear my glasses.
Yeah.
It's only for pictures though.
Okay.
Got it? You
Hold
want?
this.
Go ahead.
Okay. Marami pa. Yeah, there's a lot more nice beads background there. Doon ang noon talaga. When you when you ride there, they're gonna say something.
Do you want the boat?
Yeah, let's go on the boat. Hi.
Narrow and shallow. When the sun gets out like
Got
this,
this
it's
one. I want
really
to
hard to
Niagara.
get blood off the wall. And number 3, no smoking on the boat. That includes e-cigarettes or vapes. If I see smoke, I have a fire extinguisher and I can put you out from here. And number 4, the life jackets are in the bottom of the boat. They've never been out of the package, and we are not sinking today because I'm wearing my new shoes. All right, that's all there is to it. We're ready for some fun. This island right here doesn't have a name yet, but I sent an email to the Chamber of Commerce asking them to call it Proposal Island. The week of Christmas, we saw 7 proposals out here. 5 of them were definite yeses. 1 of them was most likely a yes, and the other one, we couldn't tell, and you could tell by the look on that poor boy's face. He didn't have a clue whether she said yes or not. So I don't know how to judge that one. But when you come back to San Antonio and they tell you this is Proposal Island, you were here when it was happening. Now, 1987 and 1988, when they excavated this area for the mall and the river, it took over 1,500 of the 18-wheel tractor-trailer dump trucks to haul the dirt out of here. As a result, the landscaping that you see down here was very, very planned. There is an actual drawing that shows every plant down here on it, with just a couple of exceptions, and I'm going to show you those exceptions. The first one is that tree right straight ahead of our boat on the right-hand side of the river. Look up there real carefully, you'll see it's an orange tree. Except orange trees don't usually grow in San Antonio, Texas. 3 weeks ago, this tree probably had 300 oranges on it. It was dangerous to drive the boat underneath it when it was windy. Now, when you're on the river, you're in a city park. So the rule is you can't pick the fruit. But if they hit you or landed on your boat, you got to keep them. I burned 3 of those bad boys. They're pretty good oranges. What they think happened is they think somebody threw the garnish to a drink into the flower bed and the tree planted itself. And the air conditioning and heating from the restaurant keeps it cool enough in the summertime and warm enough in the wintertime to keep it in a constant state of producing fruit.
Yeah.
Now the next one's a little bit easier. When you go to a restaurant, at least in Texas, and you're ready to leave, they'll ask if you want a to-go glass of iced tea. They'll bring you a styrofoam cup with a plastic lid on it and a lemon wedge on top. If you like lemon in your tea, you drop it inside, stir it up, you're good to go. If you don't like lemon in your tea, throw it in the flower bed and plant a lemon tree. Neither of these trees are on the site plan. Pass it around. Smell it and pass it around. Smell it. Smell it.
You have lime
Neither
trees
of those are on the site
in
plan.
your front yard.
Neither of them are supposed to be able to grow here because of the soil type. And even if they do grow here, they're not supposed to produce fruit because of the temperature. You just saw they did, they do, and they are. So we'll just add that to the list of things we're just not quite sure about. Now as we come out from underneath this pedestrian bridge, look up to the right of the boat, right up at sidewalk level, and you'll see an 8.5-foot bronze statue of St. Anthony de Padua. That's who San Antonio is named after. That sculpture or statue was a gift from the country of Portugal for the 1968 World's Fair. And the way we got named San Antonio was they discovered the river on June 13, 1691. They went to the calendar to record their discovery and they found that it was St. Anthony's feast day on the calendar already. So in honor of St. Anthony, they named the river the San Antonio River. And then the town or community that grew up around it just followed suit. Looking up through the trees to the front right of the boat, you can see the steeple of the St. Joseph's Cathedral. That church was started in 1867 by a group of 20 German immigrant families because they wanted to be able to worship in their own language. In honoring that tradition, to this day, they have services there once a month completely in German. If you hear the bells ringing during the day, on the hour, it's coming from St. Joseph. If you hear them ringing at 7 to 10 minutes after the hour, that's the guy over at St. Mary's with the really slow one. Looking up to the front left of the boat, you can see the Hilton Palacio del Rio Hotel. That hotel was in the Guinness Book of World Records. In 1967, they approached H.B. Zachary, a local building contractor, and they told him they didn't have enough hotel rooms for the World's Fair and asked for his help. Well, he told them he'd be delighted to help. Well, they reminded him it was less than a year to go, and he said, that's not a problem, I can do it. And if I don't do it in time, you don't have to pay me. Well, that was too good to pass up, so they didn't. They went to work. They built the first 4 floors of the hotel and the elevator shaft right here on site. All those squares that you see, those are all concrete cubicle guest rooms. They were built in a factory about 8 miles to the south of here and delivered on the back of a truck, ready to go. And when I say ready to go, I mean ready to go. The beds were made, towels were hanging on the towel rack, soap was in the soap dish, the Bible was in the nightstand, the mint was already on the pillow. They raised him up into place with a crane, connected the electrical and plumbing, and within 2 hours of its arrival on the job site, that room could have been occupied. They were planning to be able to do 10 rooms a day that way, but they got so good at it that they were able to do up to 35 rooms a day. Each one of the rooms weighed 35 tons or 70,000 pounds. And originally there were 497 rooms in the hotel. They're down to 481. Because they turned some into suites over the years. As we come out from underneath this bridge, take a look at that hotel. It was built in a Guinness Book of World Record time of 202 days, less than 7 months start to finish. Just to give you a little perspective, my next door neighbor's building a 2-story, 3-bedroom house. It's already been 9 months and he still doesn't have a driveway, a front door, or a front yard. I guess Zachary wasn't his contractor. And on the hotel, they finished it inaugurated 2 days before the World's Fair, so he got paid. On our right-hand side, this is the Historia ticketing location. It's the second of the 3 places where you can start a tour. Does everybody see the bridge right in front of us? Do y'all know what the purpose of that bridge is? To go back and forth across the river. There's not going to be any trick questions. I know y'all know that. Actually, this one does do double duty. It tells us we're coming into the area called La Villita. La Villita was the settlement of the Spanish soldiers and their families that were charged with protecting the missions of the area when this was still Spain's territory. This area was established in 1722. The battle for Texas independence didn't happen until 1836. So for over 100 years, this area right up here was the settlement of San Antonio. And for all you war buffs, the iron fence that you see right along the top of that stone wall, that's the approximate location of Santa Anna's cannon run for the Battle of the Alamo, 6 blocks away. La Villita now is an area that's filled with all kinds of restaurants, shops, galleries, and boutiques. It's a beautiful place to visit. If you haven't been through La Villita, put it on your list of things to see before you go. Did anybody see the movie Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock? We're going through the movie set right now. This is the Arneson River Theater. It seats 800 people on the left-hand side. The stage is on the right-hand side. And one of the things that never happens here, nobody ever rushes the stage. When we were filming Miss Congeniality, we had to have a boat come by the front of the stage every 8 minutes for 7.5 days. Y'all remember how long the boat scene was in the movie? My mother can tell you. 17.5 seconds. She's absolutely convinced I was in that movie. It wasn't my color boat. I know it wasn't me. But there's just some things you don't argue with your mother about, especially when she's decided you're a movie star. Straight ahead of us is the Briscoe Museum of Western Art. This building started out in 1930 as the City Public Library. It operated there until 1968. In 1968, the library moved further down the river, and I'll show you where it moved to when we come to that building. From 68 to 98, this was the Hertzberg Circus Museum. And in 2013, the Briscoe opened here. The sculpture that you see here on the side of the river is a new one. It doesn't have an official name yet. We just call it a lot of bull. Some of the things that they've got at the Briscoe. They have Santa Ana ceremonial sword, Pancho Villa's last saddle, a restored chuck wagon. And out on the east end of the property, they have an outdoor sculpture garden that's really nice if you like Western art. Straight ahead of us is the Presa Street Bridge. It's the reason nobody can stand up on the boat anymore. It wasn't even a passenger that hit their head on the bridge and got 27 stitches.
Oh.
It was a boat captain. And they made him a supervisor.
So you have to...
Yeah. You might be tempted to reach up and touch the bridge. Please don't. There's some really sharp, rusty spots up there. Let's don't make one of your souvenirs of your San Antonio trip be a tetanus shot, okay? Now, I told you about Proposal Island. It's not a legend just yet. It will be, but not yet. But this one right here on the right front corner of our boat is a legend. This is Marriage Island. It's a natural heart-shaped island. It's formed by the roots of the cypress tree. It's the site of about 300 weddings a year. There were 3 there this past weekend. And it's getting more and more popular for proposals. We came by here yesterday morning and there was a young man and woman having
discussion.
And as the boat pulled even with her, the girl jumped off the bench, bumped her arm in the air and said, he said yes. The earliest recorded wedding was in 1700 during the Mexican Revolution. So they've been going on for quite a while right there.
This one there?
This area is called the Old Mill Crossing. This was the shallowest part of the San Antonio River, and it had a gravel or a rock bottom to it. So they bring the stagecoaches and the wagon trains through here and wash them off in this area. But it was also the easiest place for the horse traffic to cross. So this crossing has seen people like Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders, Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, William B. Travis, Jim Bowie, Santa Ana, Pancho Villa. All those heroes of history cross the river right here. Coming up on our right is the Westin Hotel, built in 2009. One of the neat features of it is the lobby furniture is from a 17th century castle in Europe. It's a beautiful building inside. Looking straight down the river, you can see the spire and the green roof of the Bexar County Courthouse. That's the longest continuously operated courthouse in the state of Texas. They opened in 1897 and have been doing business ever since. Looking way up high to the left of the boat, you can see the Tower Life building. Those things you see hanging off the building way up at the top, those are gargoyles. Do y'all remember the building in the movie Ghostbusters? That's not it. But it's the same style of architecture. It's called Neo-Gothic. They used to think if you put those ugly things on the outside of your building, it would ward off evil spirits, bad luck, and bad business. Well, it didn't work for the Young brothers. They built the building in 1929 at a cost of $3 million. And then the stock market collapsed. And a year later, they had to sell the building for $300,000 to pay the taxes on it. Maybe they should have used happy faces. Now back at the Briscoe, I told you the library moved in 1968. We moved to that building right over there on the far side of the St. Mary Street Bridge. You can tell that was modern architecture for 1968. But the building was a little bit different back then. It was a 4-story building with a basement. But the basement had an issue. It kept leaking water, and apparently that's a big deal in a library. Well, they moved out. The top 3 floors became the International Center, which houses the trade delegations for Canada, the United States, and Mexico. About half of the original North American Free Trade Agreement was negotiated right here in this building. Now we're coming to the end of the natural part of the Riverwalk. Beyond the archway directly in front of us in 1921, the river only went to the left. It goes about 80 miles down as the San Antonio River, where it joins the Guadalupe, and the two of them go all the way to the Gulf of Mexico as the Guadalupe. But in 1921, we had a big flood, 9 feet above street level. So they installed some safety features, 2 floodgates and a flood control channel. And we're going to see all 3 of those features here in the next few minutes. The first one of them we're sitting on top of right now. You can see the marks on the wall from it. It's a floodgate that lays down in the bottom of the river. When they activate it, it stands up, and it lets the floodwaters be about 5 foot deeper out here in the flood control channel than in the Riverwalk. Now I'm going to honk the horn and tell them we're coming out. I did that last night, and the lady dropped her phone off the bridge into the river. I felt bad for laughing. Now, this part of the river we're turning onto right now didn't exist in 1921. This was all buildings and houses right through here. So all those floodwaters had to come down the river the way we just did, and you can imagine how much damage it did. Now, with the 2 floodgates, this flood control channel, and there's a 24-foot concrete tunnel that runs all the way under downtown. The floodwaters were dissipated before they even get here, so downtown doesn't flood anymore at all. Looking up and to the left, you can see our San Antonio version of the box of love. The way it works is a couple comes down, they profess their love one for another, lock their lock on the fence, and throw the keys into the river, symbolizing how permanent it is. And right around the corner is the divorce attorney's office, and in his front window he's got the biggest set of bolt cutters you have ever seen. Coming up on our right will be the old Alamo National Bank building. It's now the Drury Plaza Hotel. On the left side of the boat, you can see the stairs that would take you up to Main Plaza. Main Plaza is where the San Fernando Cathedral is, San Antonio City Hall, Bexar County Courthouse, the famous Governor's Mansion, BTR, El Mercado, all of them are kind of right off of that area. If you look straight up the stairs, you can see the San Fernando Cathedral. The San Fernando Cathedral is 35 years older than the United States. Founded in 1741, it's considered one of the 10 oldest churches in the United States, and the oldest Catholic church in the United States. The San Fernando Cathedral is where the remains of the defenders of the Alamo are entombed. The bald cypress tree is the most common tree on the Riverwalk. These on the left are just babies. They're only about 30 years old. But the granddaddy of them all is the one right in front of our boat. This is the tree known as the Ben Milam. It's 90 feet tall, thought to be the oldest one in the river at 200 years, 25 feet around at the base. And legend says that Ben Milam was shot from the branches of the tree by a sniper during the battle for Texas independence. Now let me remind everyone to please keep your elbows inside the boat. This is the narrowest place we go through. And this is the other flood control gate. That other one came up from the bottom of the river. This one comes down from the top. It's a 2.5-ton slab called the guillotine type. It hardly ever falls by itself anymore. But they're also not usually using jackhammers right next to it either. Alright, this next part is not officially part of the tour, it's just cool and I like it. Look right over here to the right. That's a 100-year-old fig tree growing out of a stone wall. There's a couple of versions of the story how it got there. One says that in the flood of 1921, that somehow seeds or stems got embedded in the wall. The other version of the story is the guy that owned the building at the time was a magician and he just liked messing with people. We don't know what the true story is there. Right here is the Esquire Tavern. It opened in 1933 when Prohibition ended. Well, almost. Prohibition ended at 11:59 p.m. They waited until 12:01 to open, and some say they just moved business from the basement to the first floor at that time. It also has a 108-foot-long wooden barn. It's the longest one in the state of Texas. Straight ahead of us where the green boat is the Aztec Theater ticketing location. It's the third of the 3 places where you can start a tour. The Aztec Theater was built in the 1920s as a silent movie theater. In 1932, Charlie Chaplin did a world premiere of a movie here because it was snowing in New York and Los Angeles that had an earthquake, so they came to safe old San Antonio. It's been restored to its original condition and it is a beautiful theater inside. Did anybody see the movie Selena with Jennifer Lopez? This is the Selena Bridge. And this is a great time of the day for us to see it. Usually at nighttime they're up there recreating the big kissing scene. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes there's stuff you can't even see. On the right hand side of the boat, the big yellow building is the Omni Macaro Hotel. Nothing good ever happened there. But on the left-hand side of the boat, that's a different story. This is the La Mancion Hotel. This building was built in 1859. That's just 13 years after the Battle of the Alamo. It started out as a St. Mary's School for boys. They operated there for about 50 years. When the school went co-ed, they moved to Northwest San Antonio, where St. Mary's University is still located today. But they kept this building for another 20 years as the St. Mary's School of Law. And then the cool thing happened. 4 of the students that attended the original boys' school came back and bought the building, turned it into the La Mancion Hotel, operated it for 7 years, and then retired very, very, very wealthy when the Omni Hotel Corporation bought it. So their careers kind of started and ended right here in this building. Get ready. Look way up high to the left of the boat at that 20-story wall. It looks like it can fall on us. No, don't worry about it. It's been there since 1930. It's not going anywhere this afternoon. That's the Nick's Hospital. That was the first central air-conditioned hospital in the state of Texas. Some of the famous people that were born there were the actor Carol Burnett, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, and the former mayor of San Antonio, Henry Cisneros. Straight ahead of us is the Hyatt Regency Hotel. This is my favorite story on the Riverwalk. The Hyatt Regency was designed to be a 24-story hotel. But when they did their environmental impact study before they started construction, they discovered that if they built the building 24 stories tall, from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until sunset every day, the hotel would cast a shadow on the Alamo. Out of respect for the Alamo and the shrine that it contains, they chose to shorten the hotel by 10 stories to minimize the shadow. If you're going to the Alamo from the Riverwalk, go straight to their lobby and shop area. It'll take you right up to Alamo Plaza, right across the street from the front doors. Okay, looking way up high to the front right of the boat, you can see the Art Deco design of the Casino Club building. But don't get excited, no casino, no club. It was built in the 1920s through the merger of two different social clubs. They operated until about 1950. In 1953, they renovated the building and the first 2 floors became restaurants. The upper floors became apartments and condominiums. One of the famous people that lived there was the author of the book Roots, Alex Haley. We're entering Restaurant Row or River Square, where there are restaurants of all kinds of varieties. You can get anything from a hamburger on a donut to gourmet food right in here. And it's a beautiful place to eat. Now in 1921, that big flood was 9 feet above street level. So basically everything down here was destroyed. But by 1939, they had completed the restoration, renovation, reconstruction, and remodeling of the Riverwalk, including the addition of the safety features, those 2 floodgates and flood control channel we saw. And it was safe for visitors to be back down on the river again. But businesses were very, very slow to return to the Riverwalk. So Robert Hudman, who is the architect of the Riverwalk, also known as the father of the Riverwalk, moved his office right down here to the first floor of the Clifford building, just to prove to others businessmen that it was safe to be on the river again and that the Riverwalk would never flood again. Coming up on our right is the restaurant Casa Rio. They've been operating at this location for over 70 years. They were the first to offer riverside dining, the first to offer on-boat dining, and they were the first ones to offer boat rides on the Riverwalk. The way it used to work is they had a little bitty waiting room, and if you came for dinner and your table wasn't ready, they brought you to the river, put you in a gondola, and pushed you around the river until your table was ready. Don't want a tourist tip? Do y'all know how to know which restaurants have the best margaritas just by looking at them? Look at their rail. If they have one like Casa Rios that looks like it'll stop a truck, they have awesome margaritas. If it's just a little dainty chain or nothing at all, skip it. It's lemonade. Going to the next one. There you go. Public service announcement number 1. Now as we turn this corner, you'll look to the back left of the boat, right up by this elevator shaft, and you'll see a big sculpture come into view at street level. That sculpture is called the Torch of Friendship. That was a gift from the country of Mexico in 2002. It's 65 feet tall and weighs 45 tons. And after they completed the installation of it, they interviewed the sculptor, a young man named Sebastian from Mexico. And apparently the reporter called it a big orange statue, and it ticked him off. He explained to her in no uncertain terms that it was a sculpture, and that everyone knows that that color is enchilada red, not orange. Now this section of river is not natural. This is the man-made section. This was created in 1967, completed in 1968, and the whole purpose of this section of river was to link the hotel rooms of the Riverwalk to Hemisphere Plaza where the World's Fair was held. They estimate during the 6-month period of time that the World's Fair was open and operating that over 5 million people used the waterway and walkways for transportation back and forth. Looking up to the front left of the boat, you can see the big pink Marriott built in 1988. It's 1,027 rooms. But before they could begin construction on the Marriott, they had to do something with the Fairmont Hotel that was already there. It was a 3-story building built in 1906. So it was protected by the Historical Society, so they couldn't just tear it down. They had to either include it in the Marriott project or they had to move it. Well, they chose to move it. They jacked up the building, put it on 18 sets of dollies, Each one of them had 36 tires, and they literally pulled it down the street. They moved it 6 blocks to the corner of South Alamo and Nueva Streets, where it is still a hotel to this day. In fact, it was recently on the front page of the newspaper because it was at the finish line of the Rock and Roll Marathon that was run in downtown. Okay, now I'll tell you some more of that story in just 1 minute, but let me direct your attention to the right side of the boat, way up high through the opening in the tree, and you will see the Tower of the Americas come into view. That was the crown jewel of the 1968 World's Fair. 750 feet tall, 943 stairs from the bottom to the top, 2 levels of restaurant, 1 level of observation tower, and every spring they have a race for charity up the stairs. The guy that set the record time did it in 1985 with a time of 5 minutes and 18 seconds, which is impressive. But there was a group that did it last year that came in at 7 minutes and 27 seconds that impressed me even more. It was a group of 6 San Antonio firefighters that did it, in full bunker gear, and they carried the mayor the whole way up. Some people would do anything for a day off. Now back to the Fairmont Hotel story. If you look to the front left of the bridge, you see that street level bridge? Remember that bridge. It's going to be important in another story here in just a minute. But on the far side of it, there's an awning. That awning is where the Fairmont Hotel used to sit. They jacked up the building. They put it on the 18 sets of dollies. They had 4 sets of trucks in front of it with winches and 4 sets of trucks behind it with winches. And they pulled it down the street at a speed of 0.14 mile an hour. It took 6 days to move it 6 blocks. One of the bridges they had to cross is this one right in front of us, the Market Street Bridge. But there were a couple of issues. They didn't know exactly how much the hotel weighed, and they didn't know exactly how much weight the bridge would carry, because neither one of them were new. So what they did, if you look at the top of the stone wall underneath the bridge, you'll see that there's a gap. They put drinking glasses in that 4-inch gap. The theory being that if the bridge sagged, then the glasses would break and they would back the hotel off the bridge, or they would shore it up better before they brought it across. Well, they brought the hotel to the bridge did not sag, the glasses did not break, and the hotel now sits 6 blocks away. And it resulted in a Guinness Book of World Records for the largest building ever moved on City Street using pneumatic tires.
Once you get on my boat, you feel like, man, I should ask that question.
We're coming into the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. Henry B. Gonzalez was the first Mexican-American elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. He served for 30 years. When he decided to retire, his son ran for and was elected to the position, and he served for 25 years. So for 55 years, we had a Mr. Gonzalez in Washington, D.C. that had San Antonio, Texas best interests at heart, and we've greatly benefited from it. The convention center's been remodeled about 5 times since the World's Fair. The river used to go straight all the way through the convention center, all the way out to Hemisphere Plaza where the World's Fair was held. But one of the very first renovations right after the World's Fair was over capped off the river just this side of the air-conditioned portion. But if you want to go to the side of the World's Fair, the sidewalks still go all the way through the convention center and will take you all the way out to the plaza. With our last renovation, we were left with 1.5 million square feet of convention center space, making it the largest in the nation. We've already had some big conventions here and got some even bigger ones coming. Last spring, during the NCAA Final Four for basketball, which was played here in San Antonio, we had 24,000 NCAA Division I coaches here for a conference. And about 3 weeks ago, we had 55,000 insurance risk managers here for a conference. You have never seen so many dark blue and black suits in one place as when those insurance guys were here. It was crazy. As we come out from underneath this sky bridge, look to the right of the boat, right up at the top, and you'll see the Lila Cockrell Theater. Lila Cockrell was the first female mayor of the city of San Antonio. She was elected in 1974, and she was in the news about a month ago. It was her 97th birthday. The only question she had for the press is, how is my picture, which is what she calls the mosaic. That mosaic is 411,626 pieces of natural colored stone. It graphically tells the history of the San Antonio area from about 500 AD when the Payaya Indians lived here. And it was called Yanaguana, which means peaceful or clear waters, all the way through 1968. It details some of the activities and events that have occurred, as well as the different cultures that have come together to make San Antonio who and what we are today. It's called The Convergence of Civilizations, and it was a featured art piece of the 1968 World's Fair. Are there any veterans on the boat today? San Antonio is known as Military City, USA. It's estimated that 17 to 20% of our population is military or military related. So we have a huge soft spot in our collective hearts for the military here in San Antonio. And we greatly appreciate your service and your sacrifice and your family's sacrifice and support. Thank you very much for your service. All right, y'all remember the story about 5 years ago when Charles Barkley was here with the NBA Finals as a commentator and he jumped off the bridge into the San Antonio River? You remember the bridge I pointed out? That's the one that we loaded right underneath. The river's only 4 foot deep. Charles Barkley's substantially taller than that. If he had landed standing up, he would have broken both legs and probably his back. But as luck had it, he hit the mud, skidded, and landed on his bottom, and all he broke was his tailbone. But that was after he'd been here a whole week annoying everyone in San Antonio. He didn't like the weather. He didn't like the food. He didn't like San Antonio women at all. Sometimes some people have suggested it was because they imitate, but that's a whole different story. Don't get me started. But when he jumped off the bridge into the river, the city council went into action. When you're on the river, you're in a city park. If you voluntarily jump into the water, it is a criminal trespass charge punishable by a $500 fine. And it's lovingly called the Charles Barkley rule because he got the first ticket for it. All right, that's going to wrap up our tour. Need to ask a few things up. First, just remain seated and be still. Let me get the boat tied down before anybody moves around. Number 2, look around you. Make sure you have all of your belongings. When the boat leaves here, it's about an hour and a half before they come back, and that's too long to go without your cell phone. If you do lose something on the boat, you can go to our website for lost and found, www.ebay.com. Okay, some people got that joke. And number 3, if you enjoy your tour, skipping is allowed in perfectly everybody sit tight for just 1 second, and get the boat tied down and then right back up.
You like it? Yeah. I know you like historical stuff, so.
Okay. So I have to I logged out completely from that account. So you thought I'm still an organizer? Is that what you're saying?
Come here, sweetie.
As Eleni?
There you go.
Hi, Piggy.
Good boy.
Oh, the Sunrise Care Connect account. Before. Yeah, let me see. Let me try logging in. Hold on real quick.
Good boy.
Because I had IT clear all my cache. So I'm talking to my computer.
Oh, look at that one. Is that a wild duck or something? What kind of duck is that?
making this, I'm getting spoiled, man.
Thank you so much for letting me know.
Échate la de...
Buenos dias. Want to play some? Yeah? Yeah? There you go. Thank you. Okay.
Want some for you?
Yes, I gave him money.
Eh?
I gave him money.
Ya te doy
Dinero. Yeah, 5 dinero.
Hey, 15 bucks.
Okay, I'll take it back.
Huh?
That's cool. Thanks.
Yeah, remember in Aruba when we went?
Trinkets. And t-shirts.
No, I'm just gonna see where I want some. Oh, no, I know where this one is. No, not a glittery one. Oh. You know what? These ones? Yeah,
Cheryl already got hers. She's done. But I'm gonna again.
Okay. Oh, it's a bathroom break. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're
I'll leave you alone.
No, it's okay. I got this one. Can you hold this for me, please, baby? Here, I'll show you.
Did you already pay for it?
Yeah,
Didn't they
that one
give
is
you-
Lirios.
Didn't they give you something to pack it in?
No. Listen, that's Lirios. This is what I got for the Mavericks. They have the Riverwalk and the Alamo.
Okay,
Can
good.
we just go to the Alamo real quick?
If you want.
Thank you.
Esa está bonita, ¿verdad?
I'll meet you outside.
Well, he stops down there for this walk back. I think he may drop right here, Mom.
Hello. The Alamo. It's right over there.
Is that a light, you know?
Oh.
You know those dogs, they're earning at least 20,000 a month.
Who is? The what?
Or like on a like summertime.
Like some, oh, you mean the snow cones?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because,
20,000 a month?
yeah, because usually during the
That guy's earning 20,000 a month?
they sell like 1,000. They start from the morning till midnight.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, I asked one last time.
That's pretty cool.
That's what they say. All right.
Yeah, get Dennis to do
No,
that.
it's not there. Oh, we need to catch them first. We can take a picture because they might close. Oh, there's something in them, like, yeah, history. Ako po kaya mag-picture ka ba sila? Kasi at least ka nandyan lang. Yeah. That's true. Inside.
You out here keeping an eye on the criminals?
Just an eye on everything.
Okay. This is going on YouTube. You mind?
No, that's fine.
Okay,
No
good.
issues.
It's going to be on the Florsheim channel.
It's going to be on what? I'm sorry?
The Florsheim channel on YouTube.
Oh,
It's
okay.
my channel. Alberthal. Okay,
Yes.
good. We'll do you right. It's my first time at the Alamo.
Oh, okay. Good. Where
Yeah.
you from?
Danville, Virginia. I shouldn't say that. I'm from Virginia. I'll just cut that out.
Have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Thanks.
Just so you know, sir, no photography nor videos inside the church.
Oh, okay. Say that to the camera.
No videos nor photography inside the church. Thank you.
You heard it.
But after that,
Here is the honor of
I don't even, Alamo, right? Alamo? Yeah. Alamo, what is this? Alamo Plaza? Oh, the Alamo. Yeah.
Oh, we don't have a lot of communities tonight. There's 6 of us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 each a piece, so
2 minutes.
oh, we'll
Okay.
be home.
Let me see. What's the name of our